Good morning, class. Good morning, everybody. So welcome to our reading and writing class. And this time, let us dig deeper to our topic for the weeks 3 and 4. But before anything else, I'd like to introduce to you our learning design. Our learning design is paper. P stands for pamper your soul with God's word. So before you embark on the lesson, give yourself a treat from God's word. Read the devotional, reading, pray, and share your experience of God's blessings. All right, so in this part, you are going to read the devotional for you to be enlightened by the words of God. Next, A, acquaint yourself with the basics. So this part of the lesson will keep you on track on the competencies expected you to learn and master. You will also be checked on your prior knowledge on the lesson to be covered. Get ready for a short exercise or drill to activate your minds. P stands for possess yourself with knowledge. Here, you will be introduced to the main lesson by tasks designed to help you think actively about the subject matter. A brief discussion of the lesson can also be read in this part. E stands for enhance your understanding. This part of the lesson presents comprehensive activity or activities for independent practice, not only to solidify your knowledge and skills, but also to process your learning and understanding of the lesson. Okay, letter R stands for realize your learning, a transfer of newly acquired knowledge and skills to real life situations is present in this part of the lesson. So, the reading process. Studying language class like English is an adventure. You will discover many things as you develop communicative skills in reading and writing. Though at times it may seem like some topics and techniques may be easy to grasp. There will be moments that you will be mystified by some ideas before you learn them, but you don't have to be daunted. Studying English and excelling in it can be achieved by going back to the basics. Improving your reading skills is the first step. This unit will help you become a critical reader by introducing you to the reading process and effective reading strategies. It will equip you with a deeper understanding of a text by focusing on how to analyze an author's claims. Additionally, it will introduce you to the context of text development. Finally, it will strengthen your critical reading skills by discussing how evaluative statements, assertions, counterclaims, and pieces of evidence are formulated. All in all, everything you learn in this unit will aid you in your journey toward active, critical, and effective reading. All right, so let's proceed. Okay, so lesson 1, okay, this is the lesson for week 3. Okay, introducing the reading process and reading strategies. All right, so as I've said, when it's pamper, what is that again? It's devotional part. So you're going to read the devotional. Okay, and then there's a prayer here. You have to read this. And for today's challenge, do you remember a time when others criticize you? How did you handle it? Share your story on your social media accounts and use the hashtag handling criticisms. All right. Okay. So put your ideas in here, or you may also share it through social media in your Facebook account class. What's letter A? That's acquaint yourself with the basics, or that is explore. Doesn't the act of reading amaze you or amaze us? The fact that you or we are able to decipher the written symbols on this page, get meaning from, and put meaning into them is no small wonder. But the reading is not just a matter of knowing what is written in the book. To read intelligently means you are able to read actively and critically. You do not only understand what the text says and means, but you are also able to evaluate its content. Reading is also an important skill for high school students to master, because many of your requirements in school are reading based. Therefore, learning how to maximize these skills will be indispensable to your success as a student. Okay? Right. Some motivation. Activity 1. The word inside the oval below is taken from the title of Lewis Carroll's poem. Examine this unusual word. Upon reading this title, can you guess what the poem is all about? What associations do you have with the world? Write them beside the lines. You will go back to this later, right? So let's read the poem together. But I'm going to read it for you. Jabberwocky by Lewis Carroll. 'Twas brillig, and the slighty toves did gear and gimble in the wave. On Mimsy where the bargobes and the mom rats of grave. Beware the jabberwock, my son, the jaws that bite, the claws that catch. Beware the jub bird, and the shun, the frumious bandersnatch. He took his vorpal sword in hand. Long time the mansome foe he sought. So rested he by the tom-tom tree, and stood awhile in thought. And as in offish thought he stood, the jabberwock with eyes of flame came whiffing through the toggy wood, and burbled as it came. 1, 2, 1, 2, and through the vorpal blade went snicker-snack. He left it dead with its head. He went galloping back. And hast thou slain the jabberwock? Come to my arms, my beamish boy, a frabjous day. Callooh, Calais! He chortled in his joy. 'Twas brillig and slighty toves did gear and gimble in the wave, while Mamsie were the bargobes and the mom rats of grey. Okay, let's go to vocabulary check. So your knowledge of grammar, specifically the parts of speech, can help you make better sense of the poem. Look back at the unfamiliar words of the poem. Some of these are nouns, verbs, adjectives, and adverbs. Choose 5 words and place them in the chart below. Try to decipher or internalize or understand well the meanings of these words. The first one has been done for you. Example number 1, that's, how do you call that? Okay, let's check Merriam Dictionary. Okay, so in here, number one, what's the unfamiliar word in number one? That's flighty, right? Flighty. All right, so number one here is flighty, right? So you supply the numbers 2 until 6. Okay, so what is reading? The previous poem revitalized your experience with reading because you were reading a text with many unfamiliar words. It challenges you to pay more attention to better understand what was on the page. But it was reading in a way. Reading is a cognitive process of decoding symbols to derive meaning from a text. So what is decoding? All right, let's ask Merriam-Webster. Decoding, to convert something such as coded message into intelligible form, to recognize and interpret, okay, to discover the underlying meaning, meaning to internalize, okay, to understand, okay, is a cognitive process of decoding or understanding symbols to derive meaning from a text. It is always an interaction between the text and the reader. So meaning class, when we read, there should be an interaction between you as the reader and the text that you are reading. So that's the reading. There should be a cycling process. I mean to say, when I say cycling process, there is a give and take. Okay, you understand with emotions, with feelings towards the text, and the text, of course. Well, what you will be, I mean, you're going to understand what is happening in the text, what you're reading, especially when you follow the punctuations. Okay, so interact with the text when you do reading. All right. It is also a skill that can be improved through consistent practice. In order to comprehend a text, we apply, okay, we apply many skills simultaneously while we read, identifying the author's purpose, okay, grasping the main ideas of the text, locating important details using context clues to understand unfamiliar words, answering specific questions, analyzing the text points, and critiquing the text. These and more are some of the strategies that we can use to help us become better readers. Okay, applying, okay, applying effective reading strategies, right? So applying effective reading strategies. While reading our previous selection, you must have felt confused because there were many words that you did not understand. You might have thought that the piece you were reading was nonsensical. You must have employed several strategies to help you make sense of the poem. Below are some reading strategies that you can use to increase your understanding of the text. Okay, getting an overview of the text. At times, it may be good to survey the text as a whole before delving deeper into each part. So what is delving? Okay, delving. Okay, delving is what? To dig or labor, meaning to understand well, right? To closely understand well. That is delving, or to dig deeper. Okay, into each part, whenever you want to get, okay, or whenever you want to get the gist or the main point of the text content, you use previewing, skimming, and scanning. So what do we mean, class, by previewing? Okay, previewing, say for example, you notice In movies, sometimes we are lazy to start watching from the very beginning. So what people most likely do was they try to jump, they try to go over to to the last part of the movie, and then I mean it, it is then that they will understand, this is the conclusion of the movie, this is what we will be going through. All right, so in reading also, sometimes we become a lazy reader, or we become lazy readers. Why? Let me give you an example. Sometimes when I read a book, I usually don't start in the introduction. I read the conclusion part, in which I would be able to know what's the conclusion, what's this book all about, what's this topic all about. So that is reviewing. Okay, so means looking at the readily visible parts of the text, like titles and subtitles, and also visual and graphs, pictures, and charts. It helps familiarize you or us with the contents of the selection and focus on the important information in the text. To preview the text properly, first, identify your purpose for reading. Next, examine the titles and subtitles of the text. Afterward, browse the introduction and the conclusion of the text. So what I did, jumping into the conclusion is part of the previewing. Okay. Finally, look at the visual elements of the text. All right, sorry. Take note of the things that interest you to better understand the text letter. Okay, number 2, skimming and scanning. So what is the difference between skimming and scanning? Okay, let's read here what scanning is. The text means, skimming the text means you look for the main point. Okay, let's stop in here. Say, for example, the whole paragraph. You are going to go over to the main point. What is the main point of the paragraph, the whole paragraph, instead of reading it as a whole? Skim it. What's the main point? All right. Okay. You look for the main point of the reading, and identify the ideas that develop it. It effectively means physically moving your eyes rapidly along the page, tracing your finger along the lines of the text to speed up your reading. Okay, so skimming, reading with analysis. Okay, reading by line. Okay, that's how skimming is. But in scanning, you just have to scan it as a whole. The text is looking for specific information. To scan the text effectively, you need to have an idea of the details you're looking for. All right. So the instruction of your teacher or questions about the text may help you in knowing what to scan for. Say, for example, if your teacher is if your teacher is talking about blood, he is talking about blood. So what would you think of when you hear that? Of course, you would think as if it's in a sir or ma'am is talking about a horror, talking about a vampire. The same also in scanning. You just have to scan it. You do not read it line by line, but scan it. Okay. Again, to scan the text effectively, you need to have an idea of the details. So you just have to get the details. What are the details of this, of the story of this article? All right. So next here is okay. So using context clues. After using the previous strategies to go over the gist of the text, you're now ready to have a closer look at some parts of the reading. One technique to improve your reading and comprehension and reading pace is using context clues. Okay, context clues class are words, phrases, and sentences that surround an unfamiliar word that can help you recognize the meaning of an unknown word because the text gives you an information about it. Thus, You can study how a word is used in a sentence and discover an appropriate definition. Getting the meaning of unfamiliar words through context clues is a very useful process because it allows you to read more fluently and increases your vocabulary. Okay, so the most common types of context clues are the following. Number one here is synonyms. It is used when the text has words or phrases that are similar in meaning to the unknown word. Though their meaning are similar, they are not exactly the same because a word may have different associations with it. Synonym clues are class, synonym clues may be signaled by the following words like like or as. Okay, examples. Number one, Humpty Dumpty took great pleasure in obfuscating the poem's meaning for Alice. His explanations about the poem were confusing and complicated. All right. So, okay, so what do you mean by obfuscating? Okay, what do you mean by obfuscating? Meaning unclear. Okay, it's not clear, it's not understandable, it's unclear. So what is or what are the synonym words of obfuscating? So we have here, number one here is confusing and complicated. These are the synonym words toward the word obfuscating. Okay, number two, Alice envisaged the Jabberwock in her mind. She imagined its sharp claws and jaws, and then shivered in fright. Okay, so what do we mean by envisage? All right. Okay, so when we say envisage, okay, or envisage the Jabberwock. Okay, so what is the synonym word of the envisage? The synonym word here is imagine. Okay, Alice envisage or picturized the Jabberwock in her mind. So she imagined. Okay, she imagined its sharp claws and jaws, and then shivered and fried. What do you mean by shivered? Meaning gakurug-kurug. Okay, gakurug-kurug siya. Okay, so letter C, the narrator in the poem was euphoric at his son's victory, for he cried out triumphantly when the boy came in. What do you mean by euphoric? Okay, euphoric. Okay, euphoric means marked by a feeling of great happiness. So the narrator in the poem was euphoric at his son's victory. So of course, when there is a victory, there is a happiness. A happiness. Excuse me. All right. So, what do you mean by euphoric? Meaning happiness. Okay. For he cried out triumphantly when the boy came in. Like tears of joy. All right. So again, what's the synonym of euphoric? The synonym of that is triumphantly. So that is the synonym. All right. Number two here is antonyms. Okay. So when we say synonyms, that is the similarities. Okay, how about antonyms? The opposite. Say, for example, when I say beautiful, what is the antonym of beautiful? Of course, ugly. What is the antonym of ugly? Of course, beautiful. All right. But when I say synonyms, okay, when I say what's the synonym of beautiful? Okay, pretty, long hair. Okay, these are the similar, the synonym words of beautiful. But of course, antonym is opposite. All right. Example number one here, or letter A, is The boy in the poem surreptitiously set out to find the monster. He did not tell anyone about his plans because he did not want them to worry. So, what do we mean by surreptitiously? All right. Okay, meaning secretly. The boy in the poem surreptitiously set out to find a monster. He did not tell anyone about his plans because he did not want them to worry. So, when I say context clause, meaning this could be phrase, word, or word. Okay, but in here, the phrase he did not tell anyone, that's a phrase. Okay, he did not tell anyone, meaning he did it alone. He did it himself. Okay, so that's it. That's antonym. All right. All right. So letter B, the Jabberwock was relentlessly pursued by the boy, unlike the others who gave up easily when they heard how terrifying the creature was. So what do we mean by relentlessly? Okay, showing or promising no abatement of severity, intensity, strength, or pace. Okay, pressure, relentless pressure. Okay, what else? Okay. Okay, so the Jabberwock was relentlessly pursued by the boy, meaning persistently, continuingly, consistently pursued by the boy. Nilabanan niya. Okay? Unlike the others who gave up easily. So, what is the antonym of who gave up easily? The antonym of that or the opposite of that is relentlessly. Okay? Consistently, persistently. Okay? So that's it. Again, what's the antonym of who gave up? Or gave up? Relentlessly. Did not tell anyone, okay? Surreptitiously. All right. Okay, the hero in the poem did not give in to trepidation. Rather, he bravely slayed the Jabberwock with his sword. So what do you mean by trepidation? A feeling of fear or agitation about something that may happen. So the hero in the poem did not give into trepidation. So wala siya nagpadala sa iyang kahadlok. Rather, he bravely slayed the Jabberwock with his sword. So question, what is the opposite or what is the opposite or the antonym of brave or bravely? Of course, the word trepidation or fear, that is antonym. Next here is number 3. Okay, for number 3, specific details in a text that are used to clarify the meaning of a word. Examples, we have here A, B, and C. Example, letter A. Okay, of course, what we know what examples already, what examples are. Okay, so no need. Okay, number 4 here is explanations. Okay, for explanation may be given as clues to describe an unknown term. When phrases like because or that is follow a word, these may be explanations. Okay, so let me repeat. Explanation may be given as clause to describe an unknown term when phrases like because or that is follow a word. This may be an explanations. Meanwhile, definitions may be follow an unfamiliar word. Terms like is, means, is defined as, and refer to are used with definitions. Example, letter A. Humpty Dumpty told Alice that brilliant means the same thing as 4 o'clock in the afternoon because that is when people started broiling things for dinner, okay? Or cooking or preparing foods for dinner. Okay, now, so that's explanation. How about situations in which a word uses or use it is, I mean, in which a word is used can also be helpful in determining the meaning of that word. The meaning of a word may change depending on its context or how and where it is used. Examples, letter A, the boy wondered if he should have brought some backup rather, in case he could not take on the Jabberwock by himself. So part of the idiom in case, which means if it should happen. Okay. Letter B, the hero's conquest of the Jabberwock is exemplary. Okay. Exemplary case of bravery, or it pertains to an instance of the occurrence. All right. So letter C, the hero is lucky that the murder of the Jabberwock does not merit a case in court, or refers to charges raised in court for a crime. Okay, how about connotations and denotations? All right. Another way of improving your comprehension of a text is trying to understand the different meanings that particular words can have. Words only make sense to us if we understand what they mean. All right. Two ways of describing the meaning of a word are called denotation. Again, two ways of describing the meaning of a word are called denotation and connotation. Denotation is the basic, precise, or literal meaning of a word that can be found in a dictionary. However, connotation, on the other hand, is the positive, the negative, or the neutral feelings or attitude, ideas, or associations with a word. These shades of meaning are affected by social overtones, okay, emotional meanings, or cultural implications. Example, for the denotation, okay, example here is a male parent. Okay, a male parent. Denotation, that's denotation. So when I say a male parent, that is a father. Okay, when I say a woman parent, that is a mother, that is denotation. Basic or literal meaning. Okay. How about funeral? When I say funeral, okay, the denotation of that is the ceremony before a dead person is buried. Okay, funeral. Okay. How about sick? What is the denotation of sick? The word sick, meaning a person whose health level is not good. Okay, so that is the denotation of the word sick or the word funeral. Okay, how about connotation? Association. Okay, the association, is it a positive? Okay, positive, neutral, or what? Negative. So for example, when I see you, when you see a person, okay, when I see a person having a sexy hair, I mean a sexy clothing, a lady who's clothing is really sexy. Or let me give you a clear instruction. What would you, or how would you describe a person or a lady who is wearing an underwear in the city, in a public road? Okay, what will be your connotation? So maybe if you do know about modeling, you may connote, it may connote to you as prostitute. But if you have a background in modeling, maybe the first connotation that you would have in your mind is that lady is a model. Okay, is a model. When I say angeloxine, okay, and say angeloxine, what's my connotation? She's beautiful, she's brilliant. Okay, that's connotation. When I say evil, okay, when I say Lucifer, what's our basic connotation? What's our connotation? It's what? It's monstrous. It's having a monstrous face. It is having an ugly face. But remember, Lucifer is the most handsome amongst the uncountable angels in heaven before. Okay, so that is connotation. Okay, so I hope it's clear for you what denotation and connotation is. Again, let me repeat. When I say denotation, that's the literal or precise meaning. Okay, say a matter or a matter. That's when I say a mother, the denotation of that is a woman parent. When I say a father, that is a male parent. So that is the precise or the basic meaning. Connotation is again either feelings. Okay, when I give you chocolates, you may connote that I'm having a sweet feeling for you or I'm loving you. But when I'm angry to you, it may connote to you that I have a hatred to you, right? So that's connotation. Now connotations, therefore, portray more multifaceted, meaning diverse, okay, definitions of a word, whether these are positive, negative, or neutral. Positive connotations are general favorable associations toward a word. Okay, negative connotations, meanwhile, tend to have an unfavorable feelings or ideas toward a word. Neutral connotations bring up impartial associations toward a word. Okay, analyzing the connotation and denotation of a word helps us to be sensitive to the meaning it communicates. Okay, so your knowledge of context clues will help you see how a word is used in a sentence. This analysis helps you to be sensitive to the word's shades of meaning, because a word's connotations can create different impressions for readers. All right. So possess yourself with knowledge. All let's come here to firm up. So what do you mean by firm up? Okay. And activity 2 here, competency, describe the critical approaches used to write a review. Okay, reaction paper, or critique. Example. Okay, example, directions. Identify the type of context clues used for each of the following sentence. Okay. So, what's the instruction here? Use for each of the following sentences. Identify the type of context clues. So what are the types of context clues, class? Let's go back. We have number 1, situations, explanations. What else? Examples, antonyms, synonyms. Okay. So these are the most common types of context clues. So meaning your answer could be synonyms, antonyms, examples, explanations, situations. This could be your what? Your answers. Okay, so using connotations and denotations. Another way of improving your comprehension of a text is trying to understand the different meanings that particular words can have. Words have make sense to us if we understand what they mean. Two ways of describing the meaning of a word are called denotation and connotation as well. So I'm just repeating here, okay? Okay, so connotations, therefore, portray more multifaceted, meaning diverse definitions of a word, whether these are positive, negative, or neutral. Positive connotations are generally favorable association toward a word. Okay, so we're done here. Okay, activity 2. Identify the okay. What you're going to do, class, is you just have to read the instruction. So what the instruction says here is we have to identify the type of context clues used for each of the following sentences. Number 1, contactless. Okay, contactless payment technologies. Okay, unlike traditional modes of payment, make use of smart cards to connect wirelessly to e-readers for more efficient payment. Okay, what's the answer? Is it antonyms, synonyms, explanations, situations? What? Huh? Okay, I'll give you the bonus number 1. The answer number 1 is what? The answer of it is antonyms. Okay, why? Contactless, meaning you know, it's like debit card. You just have to insert your card in a machine. Then you don't have to go to the bank, okay, to get a money. You just have to insert your card, and then that's all. Money is there. All right, contactless. So what's why is it that my answer is why is it that contactless is an opposite to this phrase, unlike traditional modes of payment? Okay, so when we say traditional modes of payment, class, meaning to say you just in a traditional mode of payment, you have to go to somewhere to pay, you know, just to pay something. Example, you just have to go to the bank to pay something, to pay your bills. But in here, with the new technologies that are currently occurring in our present days, so we do not need to go there. But because it's contactless, okay, BDO, land bank, and all these, you know, banks, you know, there's an apps already for that. You can found it. You just have to download it in your phone, from your phone. Okay, so contactless. All right, so answer number 1 is what? Is antonym. All right, so let's move forward. So you just have to answer number 2, number 3, number 4, and number 5. Activity number 3. Directions. Provide a denotation and connotation for each of the word below. For connotation, determine whether positive or negative or neutral feeling or attitude is associated to the word. Okay, so say for example, number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, and number 5, what will be your answer? Okay, so say for example, number 1. Let's ask number 1. Okay. Okay, so good morning. Number one here is loiter. So what is the answer? The answer of this is what? Is connotation. Okay, so since the answer is connotation, is it positive or negative? Okay, what do you mean by loitering? To roam around, loiter, pagala-gala. Okay, so is it positive or negative? Okay, so you are going to answer here connotation slash negative. Okay, so that's bonus for you for number one. How about number 2, 3, 4, and 5? You are going to answer that one class. Okay, enhance your understanding or deepen. Okay, so you are going to answer also the 4 questions here. How would you define reading? How do reading strategies increase your understanding of a text? And number 3 and 4 as well. Okay, so transfer. All right. Directions, read the following article. Choose 5 words that are familiar to you and underline them. Write the approximate meaning of your selected words using the table below. Fill out this table after reading the article. So this, I believe, the article written by Carlos P. Romulo. Okay, so you are going to write here the unfamiliar words. Unfamiliar word number 1, number 2, number 3. Okay, and then type of context clues. Okay, type of context clues. Is it antonym, synonym, explanation, situation? You're going to write it here. Okay, then your own definition from context clues. Okay, your own definition. You are going to explain why did you answer that type of context clues. Okay, and then definition from the dictionary. What's the definition of the dictionary? What's the definition of the word that you use here? Your own definition from context clues. Okay, and then the connotation of the word. Right. But then if you're having a difficulty in answering this class, do not answer. Okay, this part. So next here is write a critique based on the article which you have read. Be guided by the following questions. Number 1, how accurate is your definition compared to the definition found in the dictionary? What type of context clues did you use the most often to decipher a word? Why? What do you find useful using context clues to understand a word? How about the most challenging? Why? How does the connotation of the word affect your understanding of its meaning? State an example. So please be guided by the rubric here. 4 is very good, 3 is good, 2 is fair, and 1 is poor. All right. So in here, read the following article, choose 5 words. All right. So what what you're going to do, class, is to answer these questions. Okay? To answer these questions. Okay, so you just have to answer these 4 questions here. So please be guided by what? By these 4 questions. And of course, with the rubric. Okay, so thank you so much, class, for listening. We are done with lesson 3. I mean, lesson, how do you call it? Lesson 2. That is equivalent of 3 and 4 weeks. Okay, so for iLearners, do the same. Whatever activities that are being released or given there in your iLearn, just do and comply them. Thank you so much for listening. God bless.